The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 162.
162.
What is our topic today?
This is finding calm in chaos.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was saying that I wish I had some of this knowledge earlier in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somewhere I could have listened or read or, not that I would have.
Yeah,
or
I know.
Even taken the advice, but...
I think there's a lot of things that we wish that we would have known then, But yeah, definitely this is one of those things that you don't even really think about, when you're in those chaotic moments or you have a chaotic situation.
Yeah, like your family doesn't sit down and tell you, hey, when times of chaos hit,
yeah,
you need to find, it's
Here's
like,
some things
why
to
didn't
do,
we
yeah.
talk about things like that? Anyways,
yeah.
Before we hop into it, anything you want to talk about from last week?
Yes, last week we did managing anger. And there's something interesting that I think a lot of our listeners can relate to, because I get messages every week, and so often people say that they didn't think that a certain episode was going to relate to them. And then they listened to it and they totally related. There were things that they could pick out, because what I think what we try and do is make it so that you can relate it to anything that's going on in your life, because we all have different things going on, but we're all learning how to manage anger. None of us are perfect, so I think in some way we can all relate to these things, even if you don't have an anger problem. I don't have an anger problem, but I get angry sometimes, so I can relate to that.
Absolutely.
I think we all can, for sure. So, let's see. So every week we answer 2 questions.
Alrighty.
So let's see. The first question is from Kathy. She says, if people are reincarnated, how do we see our relatives when it's our turn to cross over, if they have perhaps been reincarnated to be someone else? That's a good question.
Oh, before you get there?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good question, and it's a broad question. And of course, any of these things that we talk about, this is all our opinion and what we feel that we have seen and that has been told to us and stuff like that. For the most part, what I've kind of picked up on is that when you get there, like let's say, like Kathy, okay, for example, I know Kathy, her dad passed away recently, so...
Sorry.
Like, let's say that you pass away. Your dad will be there one way or another. Will his soul be whole or not is basically what you're looking at, because we always leave a piece of our soul in heaven. So that's our higher self.
Yeah.
So even when we're in this life, believe it or not, there's still a piece of us on the other side.
Right.
Like kind of helping to make this thing go the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, I think when we dream or we go to sleep, our whole soul, essentially, not whole, but most of our attention can then go there.
Yeah.
But when we're awake, I think you're correct.
Yeah.
Part of our subconscious, is still there.
Yes.
It's still helping guide ourself and being able to communicate with the spirits that are there already, that know you, even if you don't know them.
Right.
That you can consult with them and, help. They can give you help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here's something interesting too. Like, let's talk about for a moment the physical side of seeing. Okay, so as spirits, we don't have eyes. We don't really know how this works. Like, this is a part that totally trips me out. They see things, they hear things, they have all of those senses, but they don't actually have eyes. Right. How does it work? I don't know. Yeah. I have no clue. So when we get there, what I've been told, what I believe is that these spirits, these souls, which now we are one, we've gone there, they will appear as you remember them from the life that you're coming from at that point. Yeah. And then it turns into, here's all the other things that we've been through. How, all that works, I wish I could tell you. It's all magic and mystery and exciting.
I was just going to say, you took the exact word out of my... I was like, that really is true, pure magic.
Yeah.
The fact that a spirit can see, hear you
Yep.
And they have no mortal flesh.
Yep. I really believe, too, that they can feel some of the things that we feel as well. So, yeah, there's a lot to it. So, I totally believe that, like, Kathy, again, let's go back to you pass away, you get there, your dad will be there, one form or another. You're not going to get there and go, where is he?
Yeah. He just
here.
left. Yeah. He's on the Greyhound. He's going to Ludlow.
You just missed him 10 minutes ago. No, it's not like that at all. Absolutely, we will be reunited with all the people and our families, our friends, everybody. Yeah. And we will know them and they will know us.
I especially believe that, like, in particular, our parents, they don't leave before we get there.
No.
There is some need for reunification and sort of working in things together from your previous life.
Yeah.
You have some things you have to communicate to each other. Mm-hmm. And once that's done, then you decide what is your next plan, because most likely that parent is going to be in your next life, but probably is a different role, potentially.
Totally, doing something else. Yeah, then you mix it up a little bit.
You could be the parent.
Yeah, you could be married. You never know.
Yeah.
It could go anywhere. So, yep. So I hope that answers your question,
yeah, thanks, Kathy.
Thank you for that. Yes, and then the next one is from Crystal. She says, how do you personally differentiate between a true psychic vision or feeling and impending doom or random thoughts? This is a very hard one for me personally when I get signs or gut feelings. This is huge for, I think, anybody that is learning how to do this, later in life, maybe even early in life. I don't know, but I'll tell you, it's been a struggle for me to learn how to do that, because you're talking about my own life, also talking about things that, like, I don't want to see bad things. I want to believe that none of that stuff's going to happen, you know? Like, there was one night that we were talking about Danny's friend Michael, the one that was murdered recently.
Yeah.
And I had the thought came in, he's going to die soon. I was like, oh, man. Like, I always want to think that's my own feeling.
But we didn't have any inclination that it would be like that.
No. But I wanted to believe that was my own voice. Okay. It wasn't. So I think a lot of times when we have those thoughts and we want to, like, push them out, like, no, there's no way. That's one way to kind of, okay, let me look at this a little bit farther. Okay. There are intrusive thoughts, which are, that's probably the hardest thing I think for me to get past in this, was that I have had a really hard time with the intrusive thoughts, wondering what's what, what is real, what's not. I've noticed, and I think this is about becoming self-aware, that when something is really, truly coming, something that bad, like what I might think is coming, I will feel really anxious and nervous. So I've just kind of learned to associate, okay, when something does happen, and I'm wondering, was that thought theirs or was it mine? Whose was it? Then I will go down to the feeling. How did I feel? Did I feel nervous? Did I feel anxious when the thought came in? Was I like, no, that's not going to happen? No. Like, every night before I go to bed, I play this little game with myself where I go, what's my sleep going to be like for the night? And sometimes I know that it's going to be bad. And sometimes I'm like, not going to be bad. Not going to be bad. But if I'm honest with myself, I know it is, Yeah. It really is about time and patience and learning. And keeping a journal does help, like writing those things down. I also will say that these intrusive thoughts that you've had before, like that are consistent, that are things you worry about all the time, those things I would push right out of your head. I would immediately think that was an intrusive thought and not an actual thing that's going to happen. Because for some reason, we all have these things that, like, terrify us and hold us hostage to some degree. And we're always afraid these things are going to happen. And you know what? 99.9% of the time, they don't happen.
Yeah.
At least not the way that we think they will or anything like that. So those thoughts, when I have them, I immediately push them out of my head now. Yeah. It's hard. It really is.
It is. It sounds like it's a lot of kind of being around you and the way you've talked about it. It's like you're sort of getting to know yourself in the terms of that you can decipher what's your own thought and then what is a message. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting process, especially when you kind of have to go backwards and go, okay, thought and then what was the feeling, like, but I think that's it. It's like no one's going to be able to tell you what the symbol or the sign or the difference this, is. You have to determine that.
Yep.
And I've even, I have a much better understanding in hindsight or retrospect.
Oh, yeah.
Of thoughts that have come in, than I do at the moment.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I mean, I'm getting better at that, but I think, it's our own lives and we get nervous. Like, oh, do I, believe that or not? Another thing that I have done that has helped me is that, like, let's say that I'm thinking about something. Let's say that I'm thinking about one of my dogs and, oh, I love them so much and I hope that they never die, even though we know that they will. And then all of a sudden I'm like, but they're sick, in your head, right? You were thinking about the dog.
Yeah.
If you're already thinking about something like that, but haven't like necessarily asked for the information or you're not doing like a reading or whatever, I really believe that those are more intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
For me, that's what I've noticed is that, and that's one of the things I tell myself is, were you thinking about something related to that subject when you feel that this intuitive thought came in? And if the answer is yes, then I usually push it out of my head. Yeah. And that one helps. It has helped me a lot. So I hope that some of those things can help you, Crystal.
Thanks,
for
Crystal.
sure. Yeah. Yep. That is a tough one. Yeah. For sure. Okay, and then let's do a reading.
Do it.
Okay. So this is for Sherry, and Sherry said, "This is Christy. We have been friends for more than 30 years. She passed on April 24th. I miss her so much and want to know what she's experiencing on the other side. I understand if it's too soon since passing for a reading. Thank you." No, I think it's fine, and that's why I chose it, because I didn't know that she lost. Sherry and I, she's a client, and we become friends and stuff. Yeah, I had no idea, so I wanted to do this for her and talk to Christy and see what she has to say. So I always show you the picture. So there's a picture of Christy. Yeah, very young.
COVID?
I don't know. Oh. Let's get into it and see what happens. She has a very spunky personality. I wasn't expecting that. I'm a little tired myself today, so I'm like, okay, here comes the spirit all calm, and she comes in just like, whoopam, I'm here. I got all this energy. Let's talk about it. Very friendly person, very outgoing, very much like to engage people that she didn't know. She wasn't shy. Total opposite of me, like total funny extrovert is really what I'm thinking with her. It's cute. Let's see what she has to say. So I'm feeling like whatever happened to her, it happened very suddenly. I'm not necessarily picking up anything COVID related.
Okay.
I'm not sure. She'll tell us maybe through the reading. Let's see. But I did hear that it was sudden. Let's see. But she is okay with the way that things went. Like, we think like humans, because that's what we are. But she's a spirit now. And so she's like, cool, I'm fine. This is good. I'm happy here. It's fine. She doesn't have any of, like, the grief or anything that the people left here have. There's a sudden separation. You have to remember that here. There's a sudden separation of people in both ways. It's the people on earth are losing somebody that's going to heaven, and the person that's going to heaven is losing the people on earth, at least in the physical sense. They can still see us and stuff like that, but for the most part, it doesn't work the other way. Most people cannot talk to spirits. So there is always this two sides to everything, right? So she's in heaven being happy that she's there, watching everybody be miserable that she's gone from here.
Yeah.
So I think she's showing this because she wants everybody to just say, it's okay.
Right.
It sucks it went this way, but she's fine. She's happy. Let's see what she's doing on the other side. So she throws out Disney that she, I'm assuming she had some kind of enjoyment with Disney, or Disneyland, because I feel like that's where this is going. Okay. This is a lot of what she's enjoying over there, is things that she either enjoyed in this life or didn't get to experience at all. And I feel like Disneyland is one of those things that she really enjoys, whether it was here or on the other side or both. She's very fascinated with it, and that's cool, because me too. We seem to have a lot
Right.
Let's see what else she wants to say, what else she's experiencing. She says one of the things that we don't really understand here is pure joy. What it's like to not feel worry or concern or anything other than joy. And that's what she's experiencing there. More so than anything that she's doing or who she's seeing from there or anything like that. She's really just enjoying this pure joy and happiness without any of the earthly things that interrupt it. Because really, think about it. No matter how happy you are, there's always something that comes, some kind of thought that comes in and goes, oh, you are, huh? Well, Pam. Well, not with on the other side. They don't have that.
Right.
It's always happy. It's always love. It's always joy. So... So that's what she wanted to say. Do you have tissues by chance? Oof. Okay. So let's see what else she wants to say before we finish up. Let's get a personal message for you here, Sherry. Because she says that you really are one of the best friends that she could have asked for. She says that you two always had a great time together. There was never any animosity or anything like that. You just got each other, that you could look at each other and know what the other one was thinking. And then what I see is you two talking and just looking at each other and laughing, just laughing hysterically because you know what the other one is thinking, you know? Yeah. So she loved those times, and those are all memories that she holds dear to her heart, and she loves you very much.
Nice.
Yay. Thanks, Christy. Thanks for coming through for Sherry, and thank you, Sherry, for that. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Whew, that was a tough one. That got me. Okay, one more thing, and that's to give our info.
Yes, do it.
Okay, so if you would like to get a reading from me or learn more about me, you can visit my website at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. To reach us, we are spiritualjoneses@gmail.com, or social media is at spiritualjoneses.
Very good.
And you, sir?
Yes, for my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web. At djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Leave me a comment, like, follow, whatever.
Yay.
Check it out. That's it for me.
Very good.
All right, then.
Let's do it.
Episode 162, Finding Calm in Chaos.
Something happened when I was putting this together today, and I almost came running in here to tell you, but I was like, nope, I'm just going to write it down. Danny and I have had the weirdest, we've talked about the last month or so, but things have been chaos. Mild chaos.
Yeah.
Not major chaos, but like things are just not going the way they normally go for us. And it's been very, very weird. And I'm sitting there putting this episode together, and I hear, how are you supposed to relate to these episodes if you don't understand what people are going through, you know, at the time?
Right.
So I feel like a lot of the things that we've been going through have been for this series, for this, to show our listeners how to actually kind of cope with some of this stuff, because we're doing it real time. You know, we're not sitting here always happy and everything's great and there's no problems, and you know.
No, that's not our reality.
No, it's not. So for us to, you know, put this together and really talk about it, we have to experience it ourselves. So
we have been.
Yeah, we have. It's seriously like yesterday. It was just one thing after the other. It was like, hurry up and wait for everything. And we're just trying, you know, be patient.
Yeah.
And I don't know, everything just around seems like it's chaotic all the time. Like there's so much going on, and just trying to find the calm.
Yeah, there was a lot of trying to wrap things up before we left to go out of town for the night. And the things that we're trying to get wrapped up weren't really going together so well.
Well, and then when we got there, it was like traffic was bad, and we just made it to the restaurant. We just made it here. It was like, whoo, and then, but we get there, and then it's like, oh, well, your table will be ready in 10 minutes, even though we made it there on time.
Right.
You know, and we just sit. And it's, you know, it's these little tests of, you know, how are they going to handle these things? And
exactly.
How are they going to feel if we had one more thing? Because chaos, and I'm going to read the definition, but chaos doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, your whole world's falling apart. Things can just be a little bit out of control. You know, you're feeling overwhelmed. Right. So let me read the definition.
I mean, going from smooth water to choppy water can feel chaotic you know, at first, especially in terms of your life. If things are going smooth and there's no big issues or drama or anything like that, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
It may not be murder, you know,
Right.
but it still feels chaotic.
Right. And we all go through those things. And that's another reason why it's important for us to share with our listeners. We're experiencing these things a little bit as we're talking about them, you know, because we all do go through
That's
them at
funny,
certain
actually.
times. Yeah. We all go through them at certain times. We really do. It's not avoidable. There's nobody on this planet, I can guarantee you, that would say, chaos? I don't know what that is. You know, we've all been there, all of us.
Yep.
So let me read you the definition. Chaos is defined as a state of utter confusion or disorder, or a total lack of disorganization or order. I'm sorry, lack of organization or order. Examples of some of these things: death of a loved one, breakup, job loss, construction at home, too many things happening at once, hoarding. We actually have one of our listeners that said that her home feels chaotic because there's hoarding going on. There's too much stuff. So, and yeah, that'll do that. That's been proven that when you have too much clutter and junk, that it'll make you feel a level of chaos for sure.
I feel it, yeah.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
have too much trash sitting around. I'm like, okay, it's time to clear this.
You're the extreme.
I'm totally,
are
I'm
so
OCD
extreme.
about it.
Let me tell you. And that is a funny one because my mother was the complete opposite. And so learning to be with somebody that is like meticulous about everything, make sure you have a coaster, make sure everything. I'm like, okay.
And when we're all done with the coasters, we stack them nice and neat in the center of the table.
He's not lying. He's not. Okay, anyways.
Thanks, Mom. You taught me that one.
Okay, chaos is a part of life. It is something we cannot avoid, but we can learn how to better manage our reaction to the chaos. Whether the chaos is being caused by something emotional, physical, or both, there are ways to help us navigate ourselves through these kinds of times. One thing that we have to think about here is, like, sometimes it doesn't have to be even outside influences of chaos. Like the list I wrote there, it doesn't have to be that. Chaos in your head is poison.
Yes.
That's probably the worst type. When you can't get your mind to stop and it's just constantly you're arguing with yourself or whatever it is that you're doing in your own head. Okay. So I read this and this hit hard for me. I don't have a mind that's chaos, but I used to. And so looking back now, it's like, whoa. Bottom line, you will never feel the contentment, joy, love, and satisfaction in your life with this inner battle going on. To stop it, you need to stop listening to the chronic chaos in your head. Inner peace isn't based on finding the ideal mate, having the perfect job, or raising the happiest kids. The key to finding calm is within you. You have all the tools you need within yourself right now. You just have to know how to apply them.
Yeah.
And that's so true.
Very.
Because I think what happens is, especially, like, I've noticed this with myself lately, that there just comes a point where there's just too much going on. I'm like, I'm done. I can't do it. I'm over it. And I start to get all, you know? And it's that time where we're supposed to be like, goose frog, relax, find the calm.
Yeah.
But I feel...
Because even just little chaos is not, you know, loss of job or divorce or just little things, you know, but that can sort of in a day or a week or something sort of pile up.
Yeah.
It adds to it. So then your mind wants to tell you it's much larger than it really is.
Yeah. We had, at the beginning, before the computer even broke, I think, things around here started breaking. We got a new air conditioning. Our plumbing was completely torn apart in one of the driveways and the front courtyard. So we have two areas where guys are working and they're putting in a new air conditioner. This was all going on in one day.
Yep.
And then somebody came to the door from the plumbing company and was like, I'm going to change the toilet or what. It was just...
And they were taking out telephone poles and the pool guy was replacing belts on the equipment there and...
Oh yeah, the pole when that it was just chaos. It was just absolute chaos. I felt like we were living in the money pit for a moment there, you know. And it's like, what do you do in that moment? Like I just got to the point where it's like I'm not going to get upset because that's not going to do me anything. I'm just going to laugh. I'm just going to laugh because I know it'll be over at some point.
I just think of George Costanza. Serenity now.
Yeah, this was supposed to be the summer of George. So far, it has not been the summer of George. Okay. So, let's see what else I have here. Your internal response to the circumstances determines how you feel and think. And that's absolutely true. It can go either way. If you're going to let, like all that construction we had going on here, if you're going to let it overwhelm you, it's going to overwhelm you. If you just say, I'm not going to do this because tomorrow it's not going to be like this, so I'm just going to try and, not.
Right.
That really helps. It is about state of mind. And I'm not talking about with everything. This doesn't work with everything. But a lot of times we really can tell ourselves, why am I doing this to myself? Tomorrow is a different day. Let's just try and get through the day, relax, find something to do, take my mind off it, whatever. So how do we find this calm? How do we do that? I read through a lot of different websites because I wanted to find out what experts say about this kind of thing. And the number one thing on most of these sites was maintain your routine. Mm. So if you're going through something traumatic or chaotic, whatever it may be, stick with your normal routine. You know, don't go I have a really bad habit of when things get really bad that I'm oh, fast food sounds really good every day. Yeah. It's a self-destructive pattern that I have. Mm. So we have to stick to the normal routine. Keep eating the normal things that you're eating. Keep waking up at a normal time. Go about your life normal, because otherwise, when we throw our routines off, it totally throws our bodies off. Mm-hmm. Totally, and our minds. So it's important. All these sites say that. Identify and manage your stress. Being honest about what is really going on is the first step to fixing it.
You have to address it. You got to look at it.
Yeah, you do.
I think, for me, I have everyday little types of chaos and things that, not every day, but, frequent. And I think we all do. Yeah. And then we have big moments of chaos when there is huge things that happen, that we lose a job or some we love passes away, whatever. Yeah. I think the biggest one that I was thinking in my mind as we're sitting here kind of talking about this, and I thought, well, my divorce was a huge one. Yeah. Because that was literally just chaos. Yeah. And because there's so much emotion attached to, the child that's in the middle of it. Yeah. And court hearings and deciphering what this attorney's saying and what the judge is interpreting and what they're saying. And so for the first bit, it was very chaotic. Yeah. It was very just like a roller coaster ride. My father hired an attorney for me, thank God. But at some point, I started to find my center in it. And I started to say, this can't consume me. Right. And at the same time, I was, looking at the cost of what it actually costs. Yeah. And it's ridiculous to have an attorney. But I was looking at the issues and facing them, head on.
Yes, you have to.
And once I was doing that, I realized I don't need a friggin' attorney. Yeah. I represent myself. Yeah. And I did that about halfway through my whole divorce process, which was a couple years. Yeah. Well, even longer than that if you want to consider the custody and all that comes into play. But I've eventually was awarded 100% custody. Yep. And that was with no attorney. Well, excuse me, I take that back. This last one for that we did.
Yeah, we did have an attorney.
But up until that, it was all done without. Yeah. For the first little portion, at the very beginning, I had one. And then I just started sitting with my dad and going head on with every single issue. Yeah. You know what I mean? And this is it's not an easy thing because in these kind of situations when they get ugly, it's you're just dragging each other through the dirt. Yeah. It's so unnecessary.
We're not supposed to do that.
It's such a waste of time. It's such a waste of taxpayers' money and court time and all that stuff. But that's what happens a lot. Right. And it becomes a game, and the attorneys understand that they're getting paid by the hour. Yeah. So the longer you want to talk about so-and-so's issue, they're fine with that. Yep. The judge isn't always that thrilled about it. But so there was a point where I said, I can't let this do this to me. Mm-hmm. I have to face it head on. Got to find my center, find my confidence, and walk out of this happy.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened.
And that comes to another thing that's on my list here, and that's to trust yourself. Listen to that inner voice. Because sometimes we, like in a situation like that, a divorce or whatever, where we feel like it's so chaotic, a lot of times we might go, this is too much. It's too chaotic. It's not worth it. I don't want to go through with this anymore. You know, I'm just going to go back to the way things were and suffer with what I was suffering with before.
Right.
A lot of people do that. That's why they stay in bad relationships.
Oh, yeah.
So trusting yourself and your inner voice, going through the things in life, like we need to go through these things. We need to experience these things. I really believe this is like a new epiphany that I've had. Mm-hmm. I believe that in our lives, our multiple lives, because we have a lot of them, one of the main goals is to experience everything.
Yep.
Absolutely everything. I'm talking murder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking everything. So, in this, we have to go through these bad things. It's what teaches us. It's what makes us a whole soul.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we're like, no, I'm not going to deal with it. I was like that myself with my divorce. And I had a divorce and a job change all at once because I moved out here to take care of my grandma. So I lost like everything at once. And you want to talk about chaotic? It was nuts. But you know what? Looking back now, it's been a little over 10 years. It's about 11, 12 years now. I look at it and I go, it was worth the chaos that I went through. It really was. And we have to remember that we even if something that we're going to go through is hard, it will be worth it in the end. And this is just the right now.
Yep.
It's not forever.
It's experience, like you said, that's really, and when times do get nuts, like chaos, and Michael's a great example.
Yeah.
That was chaos.
Yes.
And he died as a result of the chaos.
Yes.
This is how I believe, but I have to tell myself, this isn't real.
Right.
None of this is real.
Yes. That helps me too.
We come into this for the pure sake of experience. And there's no way for us, I believe, to experience everything that a soul can experience in one lifetime.
No way.
Not going to happen. So that's my belief, and the necessity for reincarnation is to come back and everybody have the opportunity to experience everything.
Yep. Everything.
The good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent.
Yep. And that's hard to wrap our heads around.
So instead of running from it when I'm faced with death and divorce and things like that, I've learned that I gotta just look at it.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yep.
And once I do, I have a greater understanding somehow. It's almost like the universe comes and kind of swaddles me.
Yep.
And says, you get it. You
Yep.
understand. That as ugly as that seemed, or as sad and depressing as that was, it's just an experience. And the next life is going to be just as unreal as this one.
Absolutely.
No matter what you end up and what you're doing, I don't care if you're locked in a cage and beaten for 30 years or you're a multi-millionaire living on top of a hill in a castle. It's just experience.
Yep, exactly.
That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yep. And so something else that I wrote down, and I love this, is our main concern shouldn't be to avoid pain or gain pleasure. And think about that for a minute. That really does seem to be what humans are about. We don't want to experience pain, and we will do whatever we possibly can.
That's why I said you have to face it.
Yep, exactly.
Head on.
Exactly. It should be to grow and become who we are supposed to be and to see a meaning in this life. That's what we should be aiming for. And that whole soul that we were talking about, we want to be that whole soul. So we have to experience everything. Right. So that means chaos. That means the things that bring the chaos. And the sooner that we accept that and wrap our heads around that, the easier it is for us to move on from that.
Mm-hmm.
This comes along with that too, and that's shifting your perspective. Let go of the idea of what you think is happening and the need to be perfect.
Yes.
A lot of times what we think is happening isn't what's happening. It's maybe our damage, our trauma, whatever it might be that's clouding our judgment that tells us, oh, no, this is how it actually is. When that's not how it is.
No.
So we have to change our perspective.
Again, for me to reference, like, my divorce is a great example of that, is that I went into it deathly afraid and wanting to run from it.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is the end of me. They're going to take my child away from me, because the mother was trying to get 100% custody with the whole supervised visitations by a state employee or whatever, because I used marijuana.
Right.
And so I was totally deathly afraid that I would lose my child and all this was going to happen. And then, like I said, at some point I started to go, no, I'm going to face every single thing they tell me to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump through every hoop. Anything that's in writing, I'm going to address and face it.
Yep.
And looking back again, the hindsight's always great for me, is that I can see that you're right. It wasn't going that way. What was happening is it's going to take this period of time for what needed to be proven to be proven.
Right.
And it was proven.
Right. It takes time.
Yeah.
It all takes time. And that's one of those situations, again, where, when you're in the middle of it, you're like, ugh, I don't want to go through this chaos. But now you're on the other side. And you see that was all a huge lesson. It was all a move in the right direction. And that comes down to the next one. And that's have faith in the universe or God, whatever you call it, God, universe, whatever.
Yeah.
Have faith that there is a bigger picture to this, that even if you don't understand it, because I know sometimes, like, we get off on these, like, tangents about this isn't real and it's a simulation or whatever it might be.
Feels like a lot of detours.
Right, exactly. Just have faith that wherever it is that you're going is where you're supposed to be going, and that if you allow the universe and God to take you in that direction, you will experience the things you're supposed to experience. Bad, good, all of it.
Right.
It will go the way it's supposed to go. Just trust it. It doesn't mean that you're going to be without bad times. Everybody has them. I think we all need to accept that,
Yeah. It's like survival. You know, we all want to stay alive, and rightly so. We should. As long as we have a healthy body, why not?
Yeah.
Let's live this life. But if I were to be diagnosed with cancer in 25, 30 years and die that way, that's the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah, exactly.
If I step off the corner tomorrow and get smacked by a car and die that way, that's the way it's supposed to go.
It's very hard for humans to wrap their head around.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. That's probably still for me one of the hardest things, especially when I have like readings with, deaths that are just like, why would this even go this way? Or like we were reading something the other day about, remember the escaped convict in Texas that went and killed the grandfather and I think it was 4 grandsons? Yeah. Why does that kind of stuff happen? How could I ever justify in a reading to that mother why that happened to her kids? How could I justify that? I can't.
No.
But there is a reason. Yeah. We just don't know what it is. We really don't.
We don't.
No.
And that's a hard one.
Yep. Something else that we have to do is allow ourselves to grow. We don't even realize a lot of the times when we're just going about life, just, not really doing anything, not learning anything, kind of just trying to, go, not, just go with it.
Right.
We don't learn. It's these times, these chaotic times, a lot of times that make us learn.
Yes.
Hard lessons, but, not always. But yeah, it helps us grow, all of these things. We're not supposed to stay the same. Like, I always used to hear that, people don't change type,
right.
Oh yeah, they can. They absolutely can. We're supposed to. We're supposed to change. Like,
everything's changing. Everything's evolving. We're supposed to go with that.
Yep.
Not steadfast to what we think we're supposed to be or what we were.
Yep.
No, we're supposed to change. We're supposed to grow.
Yep. I am a totally different person than I was 10 years ago.
Yep.
And I am a completely different person than I was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's supposed to happen. It's supposed to progress. You're supposed to get more knowledge and all of that. And we forget about that. We live by like the, go to work, come home, take care of the kids, do all that stuff. We forget about personal growth, what we're supposed to be doing in our own spiritual journeys on this planet.
Yeah.
Also, look at things from other angles, because that comes down to perspective again too. But like, if you're feeling really strongly about one way, like let's just go back to divorce, because we've been talking about that, okay? And nobody's perfect, obviously. So in my divorce, there were a lot of things that were said to me that were very, very hard for me to take, that I didn't want to accept. That's not me. What is he talking about? I didn't really know what gaslighting was then. He wasn't gaslighting. He was being honest.
Right.
But I kind of felt like, no, he's just making these things up because he's mad. Once you take a step back and you try and look at yourself from somebody else's angle, or, really, really, truly say, oh, that's right. I am like that. He's not doing this. This is something that's my problem. It's huge growth to do that. And you're seeing things from others' point of view, because others are going to look at you way differently than you look at yourself.
Right.
Nobody's going to ever look at you the same way. You know, we all have different opinions of everybody. So you try and put yourself in other people's shoes, how they look at you, how do they perceive you when you act a certain way. I think a lot of us, like, we get uptight and upset and we're like, but it's okay because it's me, but it's not okay for the other guy to do it. Right. But look at it from the other guy's point of view. Yeah.
And I've been on both sides of that street.
Yeah, I have too.
So I think a good thing that I do kind of for myself is sort of, as hard as it may seem sometimes, is to, in my mind, revisit chaotic moments.
Yeah.
And feel that for a second. And it's not hard, because I can go back there, at times and really go, whoa, I remember what that felt like.
Yep.
And then take a moment to feel how I feel at that particular moment. Yep. And realize right then and there that I can overcome any kind of chaos that's sort of thrown at me. I will survive.
Yep.
Even if I'm murdered, I'm gonna live on.
True.
See, that's the catch to it.
It is.
And I'm not gonna die.
Yep. No.
I just go to a different place, and it's a different group of people.
Yep.
So I have no problem with that, but I just want to prove to myself I can survive these things. I can do that. And once I can do that, when I'm in those moments then of chaos, I go back to how it felt when I was reminiscing about chaos.
Right.
And I hone in on that calmness that I was feeling when I was remembering what it was like to be.
Yep.
It's like centering myself and trying to go, in a kind of funny way, like, come on, man, get a hold of yourself.
Wake up. What are you doing?
Get a hold of yourself.
Yeah.
Kind of in a nice way. Like, come on. Don't, it's just a little crazy.
Yeah.
But you're fine. Everything's cool. Even if for a moment or particular moments I don't believe that.
Yes.
I will tell myself that.
Yeah, absolutely. That helps.
Yeah,
it does. I asked our listeners, what would you like us to chat about in this episode? Any questions that you have. So let's make sure that we answered our listeners' questions. So here's one. This is from Chanel. She said, what do you think is the best way to consistently change negative thoughts into positives? For example, like, oh, it's so hot outside, but at least I have AC.
Right.
It is. It's catching yourself.
Yes, it's like retraining.
Yep.
And I do it still.
Oh, yeah.
Frustrate the hell out of myself. Like this, and some of it's just phrases that are coined that we're used to, we've grown up saying.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest ones that I catch myself still and try to correct is, "Oh, I hate that."
Yeah,
I hate when that happens. Or, no, I don't.
Too.
I don't want to really use that word. Unless I'm addressing like the Nazis or something.
Yeah, something you really hate.
Yeah, but No, you have to, we somehow had, or did it ourselves, or just through the process of growing up, programmed our mind a certain way.
Yeah.
But that's proof that it can be programmed. So all you have to do is reprogram it.
That's what being an adult is.
And you've been really beneficial and helpful for me in this area, is like teaching me about that, about when you have that negative thought, you just either back it up with a positive one or replace it with a positive.
Yes. I mean, we both do that, where, that whole I hate this, I hate that thing.
Right.
And a lot of the times you'll catch one of us saying, no, I don't. I don't hate that.
Right.
I just, whatever. It makes me crazy or something. We try to replace it with something that's better than hate, because hate is such a horrible word. But we're all human, and so, that happens. But yeah.
But I'm aware. And when I'm aware, I'm learning.
Yes.
And I'm learning that I don't want that in me.
Right.
Even if I'm meaning it in a comedic way, or, we're just using a figure of speech. I'm learning.
Yeah, we all are. That's the whole point of it. Yep. So yeah, it's about changing the thoughts. And, I think we all want to believe that there's some magic pill that we can take, or there's something that'll just make our brains not have these thoughts. But the only thing that makes our brains not have these thoughts is the reprogramming, like what you were talking about. That's it.
Yep.
So every time that you catch yourself saying something like that, you got to, turn it around. Don't beat yourself up about it, obviously. You're still human. We're all human. But, just remind yourself, no, I'm not going to say that.
Right.
I'm not going to,
There's nothing wrong with correcting yourself. Going,
no.
Old tape, throw that out. Let's put the new one in.
Exactly. Okay, let's see. Kathy asked this question. How do you let things go, whether it be circumstances that are out of your control, not reacting to other people's actions, etc.? Again, this is all about controlling it in your own mind, thinking about the situation, about what is the benefit of acting this way, what is the benefit of acting that way, what feels better. Like, for me, that's always now what I think about is what feels better. Yeah. How do I respond to this in a way that I feel better?
Yeah.
There's going to be so many things that are out of our control. So many things.
And the other part I think to myself too, is my reaction going to prolong this situation?
Right.
Or is it going to help resolve it?
Yes.
Sometimes I would just react without considering that.
Yes.
And the more that I consider it, again, I'm learning. Yep. I'm realizing that I have that control. I have that control to let somebody ruin my day or not.
That's right. When I first started working on this stuff with my mom, because she's really been instrumental in helping me to change so many things. She started, actually, at the beginning of our spiritual journey, the first big thing that I needed to work on was our relationship. Not that we didn't need to work on it, because we did, but it was also really my approach to things that I needed to handle. I can't do anything about the way you handle things. That's your doing. But the way I handle things is what my response to things is. So one of the things that my mom told me is, when you say something, when it comes out of your mouth, before you say it, is this going to help your relationship? Or could it potentially negatively impact your relationship because of the way you're going to say it, what you're saying? If it's going to negatively impact, don't say it. Don't do it. Find a better way around it, whatever it is. But, just think about your response before you respond, because so often we want to, I don't know why we do this. We want to make the other person feel like we're bigger, we're in charge, we're more important, whatever it might be, Right. So we kind of feel like maybe we can talk down or whatever it is that we do. And we have to stop ourselves and say, why would you even do that? Why would you say that? Is it going to help? No. It really changed my perspective when I started doing that. And then anything that was coming out of my mouth to you, or something I was feeling, I would just change the way that I was going to present it. It doesn't have to come out that way. It should come out gentle and loving. This is the person that you spend your life with. The things that come out of your mouth should not be harsh.
No.
So that one truly helped
me. And we're good about that. I mean, there's moments we've gotten in arguments.
Oh, of course.
But it's not like I've been used to in the past. We don't throw like those dagger words. It's
no, I won't
and
hate that.
I grew up around that too, and I just
words hurt.
Yeah, I was like, why? Why would anybody want to tell their loved one "fuck you" or "fuck off"? You know.
Well, and the name calling too. You know, the name calling. It's like, what's the point of that? Like at the very end, my ex-husband started calling me names, and it's like, do you think this is helping?
Right.
Like you're trying to hold on to this marriage.
Right.
We're going to counseling to fix it.
Right.
But you're sitting here calling me names and yelling obscenities at me. How is that going to help the situation? Those are the types of things I'm talking about.
That's, one side of it shows aggression, but the other side shows desperation.
Yeah, it really does. Right. It really does. You have to remember that this is the person that you said, for better or worse with. And you got to sometimes look at things through their eyes too. So,
yeah.
So let's see if there's any other questions on here. This is from Serena. When your life is out of control, how do you truly find the calm? What specific tools and techniques can people use? So I think we gave a lot of really good techniques and things that you can do. But also, I always do this, and everybody goes, she's going to mention it. What is it? What is it? What am I going to say? Meditation.
Hey, that's the truth. If your life really is on an average according to you, or maybe even others, because sometimes others' opinions, or objective opinions are helpful.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you should live your life by others' opinions. But if your life is day-to-day chaos, then maybe something like sitting and calming yourself, focusing on your breathing, and asking for things to change.
Yes.
And ways to be shown to change them.
Yes.
They don't intrusively just interrupt in your life and give you what you don't want. They're not going to do it.
No.
They're waiting, meaning the other side, are waiting to be invited into your life to help you.
Yes. Yeah.
They will. You have spirit guides like that are there to guide you and protect you. But if you're going to just be dumb about certain things, then you're probably going to end up in bad situations.
Well, yeah, there's only so much they can do.
Yes. But if you invite them, and some people would, in the world that maybe believe in certain religions, look at this as inviting, what they believe in their religion to come in and change.
Right.
You could call this prayer, meditation, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You're asking for divine help.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you truly are seeking it, you will get it. But your suggestion is probably the best one.
Yeah.
Of anything, really.
Yeah. Let's see. We have a couple more minutes. So the other thing that I asked in the discussion group was, what are some examples in your own life where you have chaos but don't know how to find the calm? And let's see. Norma said, I have a teenage daughter, a toddler, and a husband. I can go either way. Sometimes by being ready for the worst, I can be the one to stir up some chaos. And that's true. Absolutely. If you're like waiting for chaos, you might even just start it because you're like, it's coming. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
She said, it's an ongoing life lesson. I'm learning how to not overthink and not to take things personal. Not always easy, especially in moments of frustration and chaos. I forget what it's like to be a teenager, and I find it hard to relate to at the times.
Yeah.
We understand because we have a 17-year-old, and that's something that I think has been a huge lesson for both of us because we weren't the best teenagers.
No.
And so we're very lucky for the one that we have. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we still have issues. We all have issues, the kids, they're teenagers. Like the sink was just cleaned.
Yeah.
But you put every dirty dish you could possibly find in it and then left rice all over the other side. Right. Okay. Teenagers, but it's kind of like, well, I think about this every time that I say something like that. Well, you did it.
Yeah.
My mom used to bitch at me for there being every single cup in the house in my room. I did it too. So, yeah, we have to be more understanding.
And I would say most teenagers don't do anything really, for the most part, that's personal.
No, they really don't.
I say this only because...
They don't.
being a teenager is, and I was like this too. You're self-centered.
Yes.
You can't imagine what it's like to be anything but you in your own head and your own life and your own world.
Yeah.
But when I start to look at that even beyond teenagers, I go, really, I don't feel like most of what's going on is really personal. It's everybody's doing what they think is right, whether it is or it isn't.
Yeah.
According to their path.
Right.
And their journey and how they feel.
Yeah.
It's their experience. It's trying to understand what that other person's experience might be like.
Yep.
And vice versa.
Yep.
Like trying to put yourself in the other guy's shoes, which you're right. I've done that in the past too. Start drama because I don't really care.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
But that's, in the end, don't really feel good about myself when when I've done something like that.
Right, exactly. You know, when it comes to teenagers, I think that they think everything is chaos.
Yeah.
But you know why? Because this is their first time experiencing most things. This
Right.
is their first, time experiencing love or, issues at school, whatever it might be that they're experiencing, and they don't know how to handle it. And so we have to be the strong ones and just understand that even if we don't remember what it's like, that we were just like that.
Yeah.
We went through the same things. We had our first. Now life may seem a lot more, it makes sense. It's not so chaotic in those ways. But you know what? For a teenager, it can seem very chaotic. When to us, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Having one, though, I can remember at times. Like,
Oh, yes.
yeah, I remember this. I remember that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I think that's what we're supposed to do. I think that's one of and there's a lot of reasons for kids, obviously, but I think that's one of them, is to teach us, okay, well, remember when you were a teenager and you did this or you
Right.
said that? Well, now how is it on the other side?
Yeah.
How does it feel on this side? And you learn from it.
Yeah.
You understand when, I would tell my mom I was going somewhere and lied about where I was going, that now I'm like, is our teenager doing that? She doesn't have to, because
Right.
I'm not like my mom was,
Right.
We're very lenient in those ways. But that's another thing that we try to remember is, what did we want when we were a teenager?
Mm-hmm.
Did we want to be controlled and told what to do and everything? Or do we want to kind of try and figure it out?
Right.
And experience things and live our best life, because
Yeah.
you're only that age once. So,
True.
yeah. So, okay. Well, I think we're good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good. Very good.
That was cool.
Yes.
It's good.
Good topic.
It is, because, again, I think if we go back to why does chaos even have to exist?
Yeah.
And how do we find the calm in those times? It's experience. And one experience actually helps us learn about the other experience. So when I'm in those moments, then when I can be out of them and recollect them, the chaotic moments, I can appreciate the calm
Yes.
so much more.
Yes.
And also be able to see how I could maybe bring that into moments of chaos.
Yes.
So, but it's experience. So don't feel like, oh, it's the end of the world,
Right.
because things might get chaotic in your life. Because the truth is, no matter what happens to you, you're going to live on forever.
Yep.
So these are just experiences, and they seem so freaking real. That's what life is.
Yeah.
But it's just experience.
Just experience.
And
yeah.
once we get there and are able to see this side from that side, then this understanding of our kind of analogies about movies and roles and experiences,
Yeah.
it makes so much more sense.
Yep.
And we understand how much time we wasted
Yep.
not recognizing that it was just supposed to be experiences.
Yep. Exactly. And I heard something while you were talking, and that was that one of the reasons that we experience chaos is to teach us how to be calm.
Mm-hmm.
Because how do you teach somebody how to be calm? How do you learn that if there's nothing nothing to experience.
Yeah.
So all of these things are kind of teaching us, because this is what we do to become a whole soul. You know, we have to kind of master some of these things too, you know? So this helps us there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one quick story before we go. When I was real young, 7th grade, I was living in Venice, and I wasn't feeling good. My mom, I went to the nurse at the school and said, I don't feel good. And my mom's like, okay, I made a doctor's appointment, so I'm leaving work, going to come pick you up, and we'll go to the doctor's. Okay. So she picks me up. I had a lot of problems with ears and tubes in my ears twice as a kid, and just lots of sinus and ear problems. So she says to me, remind me we have to get gas before we either go home or before the doctor's, because we're going to run out of gas. Okay. Well, we go to the doctor's first, and now we're headed to get a prescription filled before we go home. So we stop to get gas. There's a guy, attendant at the gas stations. We pull up, and he's like, would you like your windows washed, ma'am? And she's like, yeah, sure. So he starts washing the windows. And my mom religiously, no matter where we went, if she got out of the car, she would take her purse and put it between my feet on the floor and say, watch my purse. This was just like, no matter where we were, she would always do this if she got out and I was sitting in there. So she gets out to go up to the window to pay, and the guy hops in the car. And he reaches behind me, and he locks the door, my door, behind me, and he starts the car. My mom's car was a diesel. And so diesels, you have to wait for the green light to tell you can start it. So it's like a couple seconds. Well, I kind of looked at him when he reached behind me, like, I'm really calm.
Yeah. You don't know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm still like really calm because it's registering what's going on.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of like, I looked at him like, what do you think you're doing? And he didn't say a word to me. And at that moment, when I saw him actually turn the ignition key on, I opened my door and jumped out. And I had like a flannel tied to my waist, so he reached out to try to grab it as I hopped out. And my mom is screaming bloody murder.
I can imagine.
And I remember her saying to me, I can't believe how calm you are. Like, what? That didn't freak you out? I said, well, it did, but it's like you don't have enough time to sit and ponder. If I would have gotten caught up in screaming and all that, I wouldn't have thought clearly enough to move quickly enough to be gone.
Yes.
And after he took off with my mom's car, which he got away for a while, and ended up in a housing tract that was very confusing, and he just ditched the car. Didn't take the purse, which is interesting.
Yeah, very.
But the gas station employees were like, oh, yeah, that guy's been hanging around here for hours. I'm like, so you just let anybody...
What do they do?
But the guy looked legit, like he had like a striped shirt that you would see in a service station, and he kind of had the rag hanging out of his back pocket. So my mom didn't think anything of it. She's like literally 15 feet, 20 feet away from the car. Yeah. This is as far as she went, but that's all it took.
And you probably didn't realize at that age exactly what that guy might be looking for from you. So that is something that probably kept you calm too, because if you did know, then you might have been more. But it is an important lesson.
I was 13 and growing up in LA. I knew some of the horrors of the world. Yeah. But I didn't sit and give myself any time to ponder that. Yeah. But the overall feeling was like calm. And even from after that, it wasn't like I didn't break down or anything. Yeah. I just...
That happens,
I saw what was coming. I kept the composure. Yeah. I got out as quickly as I could. And if anything, I was consoling my mom. Yeah. I felt like shit, like my ears and everything. So I just wasn't in the mood to process
totally
all this chaos. Yeah. I was like, can we just go get my medicine and go home?
But it's a good way of handling things when those types of things hit. A lot of times that, what do they call that? Like shock does kind of kick in. I've noticed that even like when Michael died and I first read it and I sit there and you're like, no way. Yeah. No way. you know, it doesn't, things
Yeah.
kind of take a little while to register,
Yeah.
but even as they are, the calm, that you can, you know, stay calm. Because it does help to get you through those chaotic moments. It's not going to help to freak out. Wouldn't have helped in that moment to freak out.
No, because
Yeah.
I had I had seconds to kind of sort of process and react. And
Yeah.
but yeah, it was just one of those where, and just remembering my mom going, I can't believe,
Yeah.
even post, I can't believe you're calm. And I was like, hey, I'm just happy.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah.
And I think the cops drove me, around. They stopped general people in the area that they saw.
Yeah.
Wanted me to ID to see if they look like this person. I mean, they're like, keep in mind, some of these guys are masters at like changing their disguises.
Oh yeah, of course.
So they
And back
stopped
then
like
it was
some old
easy.
man, like he's like 75 or 80, in a jogging suit, and want me to look at this guy. And I'm like, no, the other guy had long hair. He was like 30 with a beard.
Yeah,
and
what do you think you did?
Caucasian. I'm like,
Aged a
you
couple
pull over
hours.
Mel Brooks?
It's awesome.
So it was just stupid, but yeah, they never caught him.
Yeah. Well,
But anyways,
maybe
that was just a story flashed to my head, and I realized that I can do it. I can.
Yep, you sure can. We all can.
And there's been so many situations thrown at me in life that have allowed me, and I just have to remember that.
Yep.
We all do.
We all do, yeah.
So,
Fabulous.
anyways, well, that was cool.
Yeah.
Sorry about that long story. I don't know how to share it, but
That's okay.
very good.
I think our listeners like the stories,
Yes.
A lot of them can relate in one way or another,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we say goodbye, we want to share your page one more time.
Yes, you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com or reach us at spiritualjoneses@gmail.com or on social media, it's at spiritualjoneses.
Very good.
And you?
For my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Yay.
That's it for me.
Fabulous.
Well, we hope everybody got something out of this week.
That we do.
I did. It was kind of, it's again, when I talk about these things, I start revisiting and remembering things.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
To revisit those. Just don't stay there.
That's how we learn, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then move on.
But, well, we hope everybody has a great week.
That we do.
And until next week, peace and love.